Greetings. This is Scholar Saunders seeing what's current. Happy Columbus Day. Happy Columbus Day. We can celebrate something. It's not been a great past 48 hours or more, but it's still a holiday that has to be celebrated in full, in the full context that it should be celebrated. Christopher Columbus was a mixed bag. He was in no way perfect. He treated the brown people especially harshly and unjustly. He was very vicious in his deportment. He failed to get a way to get to his ship's launch in Italy, so he had to go to Spain. He had to use the brown people instead of white people. And white people and Italians, that's funny because they're just niggas with straight hair, but that's something totally different. But so he exploits brown people, especially on this voyage trip to the Americas. Even though, let's get this straight right now, he did not. Let me make sure it is. He did not step foot in America, North America, or anywhere else except the Caribbean. That's the only place he landed. But his reigning achievement, the reason why we celebrate him on this day, why banks are closed and why some businesses are closed, is because of the fact that he opened the trade routes to the Americas. It had never been done before in that particular fashion. There have been people that had traveled to Americas and had the land bridge, and there's also different, explorers, especially the person that is named for America, Amerigo Vespucci. But to take away from Columbus's ideas would just be completely false and wrong and vicious. And what I'm going to try to do here is try my best to make parallels between the Israeli holding of their land, and not just the land, but the ideas and the rights and the intellectual property of that land, and with let's call them Native Americans, tribal Americans, Indians. They have so many names just like black folk. Negro, nigger, colored, African American. Did I miss any? I mean, there's so many different names. Indigenous person and tribal person, native person. But technically, anyone born in America is a Native American. So it just gets goofy. And African American. That's another one. Who was born in Africa? Are we Ados? Are we American descendants of slaves who were from Africa? Is that what it should be? Ados? You tell me. But I'm going to try to make the parallels because they do exist. Some of them do exist. It's like a reverse, though, in some cases, in a weird way. They invaded in Israel, Hamas, a terrorist group, who is not a rights-respecting organization. Absolutely the opposite. They take lives and destroy and make a disgusting mess of everything. That's not rights. They had no right to do what they did. Now, given the fact that, on the other hand, we have Columbus, centuries ago, he had the audacity to open the trade routes. And to say he didn't, disturb anyone or was kind to everybody, it would be false. We know that. We know that he wasn't the perfect gentleman in certain circumstances. But the fact that he opened those trade routes was unprecedented in a lot of ways. He widened them. Some of them, like I said, people came through in a narrow way. There's a few ships launched, and that sufficed, but not on a grand scale as much as the Pinta, the Anna, and the Santa Maria. If I have that right, let me make sure I have the ships right. Yeah, I got the chips right. Just making sure. Pinta Anima Santa Maria out of, lost my history points if I had gotten that wrong. But this is a totally different situation. Israel is not, entitled to that land because of some ancient book with stories in it and folklore and mythology. No, not because of that. It's because of the minds. It's because of the intellect. It's because of thoughts and reason and rights that are inherent within their culture. They are a culture of thinkers and writers, artists, and activists, and that's why they thrive, and that's why they've been fighting for their whole lives and since 1948 for that land. Now go back to the English settlers and the Europeans and everybody that came over and had relations with let's call them Native Americans. You had a mishmash. You just had a whole kerfuffle and a fight and a weird way of living, because you had some Native Americans who owned slaves, either their own kind or even African slaves. Africans freed slaves, turned around and then owned other Africans as property. That's what it all comes down to. The notion of property and rights. A human being is no one else's property. They're a sovereign individual and should not be regarded as such. And throughout all of history, there has been slavery. Ever since the dawn of man, there have been enslavement in certain societies. That's something that we have to come to grips with. We have to understand that with Native Americans, they're not completely the most civil of all kinds of people. They were mostly nomadic savages. And that's not to, disregard. This is a fact. They roamed around from place to place. They didn't settle. They didn't establish property rights. They just rolled around the country. Just roamed around. And for people to not really understand that, not to get that, is a tragedy. Because you got these memes, you got the cute posts and stuff like that. If a Columbus Day sale means at a store means going in and taking whatever I want and just leaving. No, that was like a cute haha, trying to be funny, but it's a serious thing. To have Columbus being a terrible, horrible person completely would be a mistake. He did terrible, horrible things, but for the most part, he was a hero. Because of those facts, because of the reason why he opened up the trade routes. Because he established civilization without even stepping foot in a place where these, nomadic brutes basically lived. And that's the sad part about everything. That's the sad part that we don't understand when it comes to Palestine and Gaza. Sure, there are good people in Palestine. There are there are rational, ethical people that do reside along the Gaza Strip or in the area that they call Palestine or Palestinians. That's fine. But if war comes to them, they're going to have to incur it, not because of Israel. The blood isn't on Israel's hands. The blood is on Hamas's hands. So if they are to perish, it is because of them. So that kind of goes like the Native Americans. It's not the fault of Columbus, even with all his flaws and faults. It's not on him that we have so many people, scrambling and saying, well, it's Indigenous People Day. It's people that were originally found here, tribal Americans. And that's the worst thing you can possibly do as well. Tribal. Treat Israelis as tribal. Treat Native Americans as tribal. They're individuals. Anytime you have someone say, Well, they should be treated as tribes. They should run the hell away as quick as you can, fast, because we are not tribal. There's no such thing as collective rights. There's only individual rights. And we have to say individual because that distinction is almost totally turned on its head and disregarded. We have to say individual rights. It should just be rights. That's what it should be. We should just say rights. But we don't. People say, "Oh well, civil rights and human rights," and just by being a human being, you're an individual. And based on your mind, based on how you act, how you function in the world. But I'm trying to, if you're with me, I'm trying to draw the parallels because they do exist. Because the Palestinians, the Hamas, are vicious, brutal savages, terrible savages. And same thing with some parts of the Native Americans. Like I said, they own slaves. Some of them, some slaughtered other tribes. They didn't just slaughter the white man. They slaughtered the black man, the brown man, red man, yellow man. When it came to that, it was a disgusting, nasty period. And sadly, in the 21st century, we have to observe this disgusting, nasty period of the Israelis having to defend themselves from these Bedouins, these Arabs, these nomadic Arabs, and these virtually unkempt and uncouth and individuals who have no idea and no rational conception of property rights. That's the thing. That's what's so sad. That's what is the detriment to our world today. And then we go back in time. It's just like with all the different statues that had to be taken down and names had to be changed on sports teams and stuff like that. Oh, that's cute. That's fine. But try doing that with Columbus, Columbine, Columbia. His name is everywhere. There's statues of him all over the place, as there should be. His name should ring bells. It should remain, despite all his errors. He should be celebrated. And it's hard to say, what or whom should be celebrated with Israel, an individual. Can't be Netanyahu. He's one of the worst ever. We're looking for a hero like, with President, or is it, he was the President Zelensky of Ukraine. He's a hero. He has flaws. He has faults. He doesn't have, the complete, deck as well when it comes to moral transactions and stuff like that. But for the most part, he's a hero. He's a good guy. We don't have that even in America right now. Biden? Sleepy Joe? Creepy Joe? Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me. Hey, salute to Keith. I know you're broke. That's why I don't answer your questions. But you can stay in the live chat. I'm not gonna, kick you out. And happy Columbus Day, all the way from America to Japan. Crane TV, I will answer that question if you provide at least $10 to $20 toward the donations. I appreciate that. Thanks. Happy holiday. Yeah, well, you say happy holiday. Say happy Columbus Day. Say the man's name. He wasn't perfect. I'm not saying, oh, we have to worship his name. He was a paragon of absolute virtues. That's not the case. He was not. He was not a perfect being. He was not a perfect soul. He had his own flaws and discrepancies as well. But for the most part, he is a hero. He is somebody that we should look up to, someone to be respected, and his name should forevermore ring throughout the world. He represents the world, really. Without him, North America wouldn't have been started. United States of America would not have been started. And of course, we have our sins. We have our original sin, slavery. But like I said, what organization, what society, what quote unquote culture did not have slaves? Record and history of a society that didn't have slavery. And we have to remember, like I said, black African Americans owned Africans. You know, the freed slaves, they got up enough money because it costs money to engage in slavery, to have slavery. And you had to be wealthy enough. Yeah, that's right, Keith. Happy Columbus Day. Happy Columbus Day to you too, Kareem TV. I need both of y'all to chip in $10, $20. PayPal account is jumping. If you don't have PayPal, there's always my Cash App. So I'm really excited. I'm moving, shaking, and popping, as they say. So that's what it is. I'm trying to make the parallels because there are a few. Israel is a sovereign state, and they're not there just because of some Zionist miracle or something like that, or some mystical thought pattern. They're there because they're the most civilized, social, thoughtful human beings in a region that is populated by dictators, despots, and savages, brutal savages that seek to rob and steal and destroy. Okay, Keith, that's funny. That's weird that you're so broke, but you're on some kind of connection somewhere. You had to have something to eat probably today. You have to have something. You have to have some kind of money available. So just let you know, that's the reason why I don't answer any questions posed by people that don't donate. If you donate $10, that's all I'm asking. $10, $20, something like that. That's all I'm asking. I will answer as many questions as you can. I will advertise for you. You can be a sponsor. There are 2 people in the 50 Club. That's Spirit Smooth Tunes. You can visit him on YouTube. Go to his channel, Quiet Storm, Smooth Jazz, R&B. He's a great guy. So far, I never met him in real life, but he's a good guy on the internet. And also, actually, it's 3 people. I don't want to forget Chelsea. Let me say, lady Chelsea Jackson. She's part of the 50 Club. She spent over $50 in a month. And also Tone J. Tone J is the truth. Anyhow, he has come through and dropped down plenty of dollars, and I appreciate his hustle. I appreciate his mind. So thank you very much for that. You can be a part of the 50 Club as well. I'm trying to get perks up so it makes it more enticing to join the 50 Club. Trying to have restricted videos or something like that only you can be able to see. Again, back to the lesson at hand, the parallels. Israel and United States of America, America, North America, and that region in the Middle East. So it comes down to property rights. That's all it is. There's no such thing as group rights. No such thing. There's only individual rights. There's property rights. That's what capitalism is. Capitalism is a social system of justice. It is about the protection of individual rights and individual property under a proper government. That is essentially my definition. That's not the verbatim definition of capitalism, but I think I got it close to it, if not spot on. The amount of work that has gone into people, dancing in the streets, dancing in London, for Palestine. Those are the same people that are saying, about indigenous people in America. Therefore, the Palestine. Therefore, the savages in those tribes, because not all the tribes were evil, and they're not all awful. Not everybody, there were individuals. Just like today, they're on reservations. They have casinos. Some of them. That's how it started. It started in the 1960s and 70s with bingo halls and casinos to raise money for homelessness, food security, medical attention, things of that nature. And it just grew and grew and grew to massive, casinos across the land, across the United States, especially in the Midwest and in the West, and parts of the East, like in Connecticut. So you have to look at history and see those parallels, see what those differences are, see just how amazing it is to have capitalism defeat altruism, because that's what people are doing. They're being very altruistic. They're thinking about the others, not individuals, not selfishly. They're not thinking selfishly. Keith, you say biblical prophecy. It's not a question, so you're pretty slick, because I'm going to answer that. It's not biblical prophecy. It has nothing to do with mysticism. Nothing. It has nothing to do with the so-called God or anything like that. Jesus, preparing for his return, which would be the third coming, not the second coming. I said that before. I established that. He came to America first as born, according to legend and the mythology. Then he died and resurrected. Then he came back and he showed his disciples his wounds, which is weird, because why would you still have wounds in heaven? That's another thing. And then he goes back to heaven and he's seated at the right hand of the Father. So then you have the point where he's going on this third return, which he still hasn't come back yet. So that's the thing with Christians. I think they have a bank load with no dollars in it, but a blank check with trillions of dollars on it. And they know to bounce if they cash it, but they hold on. That's called faith. You have $1 trillion, check with no money attached to it in the bank account, but you're just holding on to the check. That's faith. That's an example. That's an example of faith. Okay, you just made a complete misnomer and a complete oxymoron and a complete fallacy and irrationality, Keith. If it is what it is, that means something that is true and what's in reality and what's based in facts. That's what is what it is means. A is A. A qua A. The meaning of itself. Biblical prophecy is not part of that. It's against that. It grinds against that notion. It is a terrible kind of mishmash of ideas. We don't have everything we have. All this stuff, everything in this room, this Cowboys and my shirt and this tie, this hat, my phone, the MacBook, all of that would not be possible if it weren't for Columbus. That's a fact. That is a true fact. That's a whole fact. None of this would be possible if it weren't for the Colombians. I mean that the heroes, the atlases of the world that stand up and do something that's challenging and adventurous and dangerous and possibly deadly, and you do it anyway. You do it anyway because of your integrity, because of your honesty, because of your self-faith. Not faith in some mystical being, but your faith in your own identity, in your own integrity, in your own thought processes, and your ability to create, produce, make, build. So we wouldn't have the United States of America. We can make those cute little memes, and we can stomp in the streets and say that, take down the Columbus statues all you want. You're only hurting yourself. You're only denying the fact that a man of great stature, despite his faults, had all of this to say about him. Who didn't have faults? Shoot, Martin Luther King had mistresses, and that's hardly ever talked about. But it's a fact. It's according to FBI records. You can look it up. It's true. Hey, Keith, that's cute. You can ask questions all day in the chat room, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna answer them. I have to see some dollar amounts from you. If you put a question mark on some of your comments, I might highlight, but I'm not answering any questions from anybody, not just you, Keith. Anyone that has a question, they got to put a dollar amount next to it. I don't have super chats yet. I don't have that, and I may not get super chats because you got to pay taxes on them. Forget that. I like Cash App. You don't have to pay taxes. But overall, Columbus was a good man. In fact, and I mean that in a moral sense, he was morally ambitious. He was selfish. He was a great man because of that selfishness. Because he didn't know what he was doing until he got here. He bumped into, it's like they said before, I heard this on a chat. I can't remember exactly who it was of, but like they're saying, going to the moon was like our greatest achievement. But the greatest achievement was the fact that how we got to the moon. Columbus. And they have space shuttles. Columbia. I think it was destroyed. I think it was. But look at that. Where do you think the Columbia comes from? Where's the Columbia Broadcasting Station? CBS. Columbia. Columbus. Columbine. Again. We have these names for him because he is worthy of it. He's worthy to be praised. Let's put it in those ways. So, okay, Keith, you just answered your own question, I see. That's interesting. But I think that if we really look at it, the parallels, Israel, Columbus, we can see how it's totally up to the mind, individual thought of the individual. It's up to the minds of the world to move it forward, and we have to denigrate and destroy all those who oppose the human individual mind. That includes Hamas. That includes the idea that, America was a perfectly wonderful, peaceful place before Columbus had anything to do with it. All Baja Jackson on the check-in. Okay, the victor writes the history only because of the fact. That's not, if you look at how many people died in Vietnam, they technically lost. We lost. We lost in Vietnam. But as many civilians and combatants lost, millions of people died in the Vietnam War against America. But we wrote the history anyway, even though we technically lost because Vietnam fell to communism. So he was a very good man, Baja Jackson. I appreciate your donations, but I have to disagree with you there, sir. He was a great man. So now I'm gonna try to segue because I gotta get to the nigga shit. At the end of it all, happy Columbus Day. No, we lost the war and the battle. We won and one. We know we lost the war and won battles in Vietnam. There were Vietnam battles that were actually won by America. But I want to get past that. I want to get to the dumb shit. Drake, Drizzy, Champagne Poppy, Loverboy, whatever you want to call him, getting dissed by Joe Budden. And I just saw again, I think for the second or third time, the video of Drake, very, humble, meek, modest, not really confrontational, on what was called Joe Budden TV that back then. I don't know if it's still called that. I think it's just called the Joe Budden podcast that he has now. But he was filming. Joe Budden's behind the camera. He's not even on the camera. He's filming Drake. This is from 2009, by the way. This is 14 years ago. So Drake has got the shaven face and the low fade, and Joe Budden's like doing like throwing back, volleying, like what's it called, just different words that are directed at him, but he's kind of on the slide saying against him, the passive aggressive. Joe Budden's being very passive aggressive against Drake. And a group of girls even come up and say, "Hey Drake, I always love your music. I was listening to you in the car," and stuff like that. And Joe Budden's like, "I'm just trying to be like that. I'm trying to be on him." And some guys come over, they dap him up and everything like that. But before then, Drake is talking about how I'm just a guy. I'm a nice guy. I'm just coming in the game. Everything is all sweet and everything is peachy. And Joe Budden is saying like, "Man, man, you know you got to go at these niggas. You got to go at them. You can't stop that. You got to continue with that." And so, he continues on with his speech with Drizzy, and he just continues to say how he should be more of I guess a presence. He should be more of a tough guy. He even shows at one point where he's talking to the girl, and he kisses the girl's hand. He's like, "Oh wow, I got to be on that." That's what Joe Budden said. I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, "Wow, that's how you get down like that," kind of thing. And he's like, "Yeah, it's like chivalry." Drake says his line. "You should give it up for me. Look how I'm placing on my knives and my cutlery, my napkins and my cutlery." Like, this is a totally different breed of rapper right here. And Drake will admit that he took some of his style from Joe Budden, because Joe Budden had mood music. His mood music was most important. Very cute, Keith. Keep trying. Keep trying all you want. I'm not answering. You keep a knocking, but you can't come in. You can come in with $10 or $20. If you come in with $10 or $20, I'll be happy to answer those questions. You know the drill. That's why you're laughing now. You knew I was gonna say that. But anyway, Joe Budden is saying, hey man, you got the streets on fire right now. I don't know where it's going. What you doing? With the rap game and everything like that. He's like, nah, I'm just gonna come in. Do my thing. Do whatever I gotta do. When I'm dropping in a few months and stuff like that. He was saying, and it just didn't escalate. Didn't get out of hand. Fast forward 14 years, and you've got Making a Murderer Part 1 by Joe Budden. Or maybe not 14 years earlier. Maybe this is, hold on, let me make sure. Okay, this is a few years ago, actually. But he did roast on the Joe Budden Network for All the Dogs, Drake's album. So they have like a hate-love relationship. So if you look at the timeline, let me see, 16, 9, 2009, 16, 7 years. Okay. 7 years ago, Joe Budden dropped that diss, and that was his way of saying something to him. And Greg asked in here, no brokies allowed. Yeah, Greg asked the ironic person. Super ironic since he doesn't give any donations. No brokies allowed. Okay. Salute to Greg S. He's a troll. He's a free rider. I'm telling him to respect the donations. 10s and 20s. That's all I'm asking. 10s and 20s. Got 4 likes. It looks like 2 people are in the room. Looks like it's just Greg and Keith. Baja came through real quick, and then he left. But Joe Budden, it's not even it's not even a cooked beef. It's like raw, still raw, or if it's not raw, like steak tartare or something like that. It's kind of like that. It's not like any other beef. It's slightly cooked. Joe Budden and Drake have been, going at this for over a decade now, or close to a decade now, and they seem to be, just jousting, just going back and forth, sharpening swords, trying to joust, trying to fight one another. That's what it seems like to me. And with, Joe Budden's pedigree, his genius, I'm going to say he's a hip hop genius, along the lines of Jay-Z, Soulja Boy, Kanye West, Wayne. There's a lot of geniuses in their own right because they have made such impactful ways of creating. I mean, if you look at Joe Budden, look, he could have had pump, pump, pump. That could have been it. He would have been a non-factor and irrelevant at the same time. He could have just said, that's it. I can't do music. I can't do nothing else. I'm dropping Def Jam. I don't know if he was dropping Def Jam, but I'm not getting that much money from Def Jam. My album didn't do as well they projected or something like that. I'm done. I can't do the rap game anymore. So he could have said, that's it. Then he said, you know what? Forget this. I'm on these drugs. I got to rap about how it feels to have loss from a romantic relationship with a woman. I got to expound upon that. I got to create these mixtapes and these albums. And get the mood music, and you get the No Love Lost and all those, and they're just fire. He's just spitting bar after bar of truth and reality. He's talking truth. He's talking facts, and he's using emotion, not as a tool of cognition, but as an expression of his identity. And so then he goes on and say, "Look, the internet is popping. I got the internet going nuts." He's looking at this as a come up. He starts Joe Budden TV. Joe Budden TV picks up on pretty much anything and everything. Then you fast forward into today's realm. He's got the Joe Budden Network, and he's getting probably millions of streams and probably millions of dollars based off his ideas. That's certified genius in my realm. In my world, that's a genius because he reinvented himself. He could have said, "That's it. I'm done with hip hop." He was part of Everyday Struggle for a little while. He was doing that. Yes, Greg S. That's true. That's where I got the line. Very, very good. You're clever. You're old as dirt like me. Because nobody else will get that. What? What is that? A song from 2005? What? Almost 20 years ago? These young kids don't know nothing about that. They don't know. They have no clue. But he pressed forward. He pressed forward. He kept saying, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to do my way. Bring in some people like Officially Ice, one of the greatest Xers, formerly Twitter, I would say Twitterers, or makers of tweets, to ever come in the fore, ever come into the stage, because he has some of the wittiest, funniest, thoughtful ideas that he does in his X's. I guess you call them X's. What they need to have a whole lexicon of terms to say for X.com. I'm not sure. It's weird. It's very weird. It's a very weird situation we live in now. But I got Keith and Greg S bagging up for some reason. I don't know why they're laughing. They're laughing at how broke they are, I guess. I don't know. Get like, Chelsea with the glasses. Get like Baja Jackson, for example. Get like Spirit. Get like Tone J. Get like them. Then we can have a conversation. But I'm not going to entertain either one of you as long as you don't pay attention to the donations. You don't respect them. All right. That's totally different. Drake, on the other hand, blew up. Just off the charts. Chief Keith, exactly. Blew up. I call him the LeBron James of hip hop. Not, somebody like Jay-Z, who is Jordan, but he's somebody that had a whole lot of hype. Everybody was like, oh, this young kid, he's light skinned, singing and rapping, and what's he gonna do? Is he gonna come in the game and go out as faster than he came in? He stuck around, and he's still sticking around. Those numbers For All the Dogs, if that's the proper title, are probably gonna be epic. He's probably gonna break the bank on Spotify, Apple Music, all your streaming services. Tidal, maybe. Does anybody even care about Tidal? I love Tidal. Tidal's cool with me. They got different albums and songs that aren't on Apple and Spotify. Yeah, sip of the yak. Yeah, sip of the water. I can't take alcohol. Actually, I don't drink alcohol. I tried it. I tried drinking alcohol one time with my drugs, and it was a terrible headache. I had 2 beers, and I just had a headache. I thought I was gonna feel a little buzz. Maybe the drugs will kick in and do something, but no, I don't do alcohol. I'm cool with that. Maybe there will be a day, maybe in my 80s or 90s, I'll drink alcohol because whatever. What do I got? 10 years left. If I'm 100, I got what 5 years left, if that. I'm gonna do every drug possible, and if there's, hopefully it'll be legal by then. We'll have somebody of rationality that'll legalize all drugs, prostitution, and other things like that. So back to the lecture at hand. You have Budden, a pioneer. He is an architect in a sense. He's not an architect of hip hop, but he's an architect of, elevating the game of hip hop. He's not like a founder. He's not one of those pioneers, but he's a pioneer in the sense of having a grip on the culture as it stands, or the genre as it stands. he continues on, with his jabs at Drake. He continues on with his consideration of other people in the game and how people come together in the game. Pause. So that's where it stands right now. Joe Budden is trying to make a name for himself and has made a name for himself for almost 20 years now, or over 20 years now. Yeah, Pump It Up came out in 2003, didn't it? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Pump It Up. Let me see. I'm just looking for it right now. Just looking for it. Yep, 2003, and it's go on his album Joe Budden. Critical reception was pretty strong. It came in number 8 on the Billboard 200. That's probably his highest to date. It doesn't show in any certifications though. But that was Joe in a different framework. He was a different mindset. He's in a different mindset now. I would love to answer that question. I'm not answering. Exactly. You got the laughing faces. You got the laughing emojis. So I'm definitely not answering that question. Nope. I value my dollar. If you value my time, I value your dollar. That's the trade. I'll give you my time. You give me a dollar amount. That's how this works. Surprise me. I mean, with $50, $100, something like that. Then we can talk. Then we can really talk. Until then, not happening. So Joe Budden had his own way of considering things. He had his own way of taking into account what it was. Okay, that was cute, Greg. But Joe Budden has his own way of distinguishing himself from other people. That's the power. That's the might that he has, and he's definitely a cultural figure. If he's in the sitcom Abbott Elementary, and he's not featured in it as a guest star, his podcast is talked about. Now, if you're at that level where your podcast is talked about on a major network and a very popular television series, you made it. You definitely made it. And Joe Budden can go down in history with that. And he's from Jersey. All the people I know are from Jersey. Both my mom and my stepmom came from Jersey. Most of my family live in Jersey. Most people are from Jersey anyway. It's an origination state, not so much a destination state. Or it's a just living here state. Like people that live in the suburbs of New Jersey, and then they commute to New York City. That's basically what it is, like that. No, I'm using culture and cultural figure exactly how they should be. I say it's a genre, but I think that Joe Budden supersedes and goes over the genre. He becomes a cultural figure. That's how I view it, and I can back that up with his music, his Joe Budden TV, and his Joe Budden Network. all those things comprise of something that's nobody saw coming. Nobody really anticipated it. I can claim it. And if you want to be cute and say pause and pause after everything, I'm going in balls deep. Pause. I'm going in, saying nonsense, whatever. But that's what I get from Joe Budden. And Drake is just a killing machine. He's a Midas. He's a platinum Midas. Everything he touches turns to platinum or diamonds. He's a platinum and diamond Midas. He can't lose on an album level. That's where Joe Budden can't contend with him at all. Not sales wise. I'm not saying quality of music, because the music, some of them are better than Drake's offerings, especially with Future. I just don't get Future. I really don't. I know. Correction. I do get Future. I understand what Future's all about. He's all about the drug culture, doing drugs, not selling them so much as doing them. He could have sold drugs, but he's mostly about doing the drugs, doing promethazine and the dirty Sprite and all of that. I just I can take him or leave him. He doesn't really resonate with me on any level. He's probably a great guy. I'm sure he's a gentleman. He's a cool cat, but I just can't get around all that drug talk. I love drug talk. I love the Clips, Biggie, Jay-Z, Jadakiss. There's a whole litany, a whole list of people that talk about selling drugs. I like Cocaine Chic. I like that in rap. Talking about how many kilos you're gonna sell and stuff like that. That's interesting to me, because I really think that should be legalized. And the fact that these rappers, most of them, like Jay-Z, sold kilos of coke, but never saw jail time, or may never see jail time. That just goes to show you how we have a crime. There's people that say that, like Trump, that say that drug dealers should get the death penalty. And there's drug dealers that are locked up behind bars for life. That is a disgusting injustice. That is vicious. That is completely away from anything that is rational or good. So when it comes to the idea of having Joe Budden or Drake or anybody like that who aren't known for selling drugs or anything like that, or Joe Budden used drugs. I think Drake used some drugs, but they don't talk about selling it. That's for one thing. They're not talking about being on the corner with cracks in their palm or cracks in their butt cheeks. Pause. Or got keys in the trunk of the rental. They're not talking about that. They're talking about emotions and how women treat them and how they function in the world and their lyrical dexterity. Drake has some great lines. I don't care. The timestamp songs are, I think, his prized possessions. 5 p.m. 6 p.m. in New York, 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. in Calabasas or something like that, and 8 a.m. in Charlotte. All them, they all are on point. I mean, and this goes to my favorite writer besides Ayn Rand, Ture. Just saying how, in a sense, he's not really a rapper. He's like a spoken word artist. He raps on beat, but he doesn't rap in the sense of going with the flow of the music. I don't know how to explain it. It's very strange. Okay, that's cute. Where you trap at? Where you hood? You ain't hood, nigga. Where you rap? Where you trap? You ain't hood, nigga. Greg asks, I'm saying, it's saying I'm not a rapper. I'm a trapper. What part of the hood you trap at? Is your curb swerving? You trapping out the bando? Start your emojis. Start your emoji faces. Go ahead, Keith. Start your emoji faces. You already know what time it is. It's the weirdest thing. I get two broke niggas on at the same time. If you probably put both of your monies together, you could probably have a nice little donation. You should consider that one day. See how much you can do for it. Trumper for life. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how much of a Trumper I am when it comes around to voting time. We'll see what happens. I'm not gonna even do that. Well, we'll see, Greg S. We'll probably be in our 60s and 70s by then. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 35. I could run for president myself. I'm that old. I'm ancient. I'm dust. It's goofy, but Joe Biden and Drake, great matchup. Great. They should not they should not go in the ring. They shouldn't have a boxing match or nothing stupid like that. They should maybe have a song together. That would probably change the game. That would probably astound people. Drake and Joe Budden, what? On a song together? What? That would mess people up. That would throw people off their axis. Seriously. I don't know what you're talking about, Keith, and I'm not going to answer your question. So that was a waste of your own letters. I wouldn't say time, and I can't say breath, but it's a waste of your letters. Drake and Joe Budden. Great matchup. Verbally. They could do a battle. That would be interesting. See Drake do an actual, battle on not on wax, no songs, no melodies, no rhythm, nothing. Just straight bar for bar, going back and forth at each other. That would be interesting. That I would pay to see that. That would be something interesting. Joe Budden and Drake going back and forth like T-Rex and Conceited or somebody. Who are the up and coming battle rappers? I know they stopped for a little while. Yeah, that's great. Okay, Math Hoffa, he's still in the game. That's true. Good point, Greg. I'll give you that. Still not answering your questions though. But thanks for the answer. Cassidy. Cassidy battle raps. Yeah, he goes from sometimes time to time. I know what you mean. I'm just messing with you. But Drake and Joe Budden, that would be a stellar matchup for them to go back and forth because they both have bars. You can't deny, and especially with battle when Drizzy battled Meek Mill, he definitely took him down. Not with Charged Up. It took him another try, but back to back, that almost ended Meek Mill's career. Honestly, it was like that serious. It was like, whoa, wait a minute, where's Meek gonna come recover from this? So they had to become friends again, and go throughout their days as buddies. And it looks like somebody else came in the room. There's 3 people that I see in the viewership. 4 likes. I'm not mad. I'm here on a holiday. For some people, it's not a holiday for Keith, but I'm still looking for donations. We can talk about anything now because it's past an hour. We can continue to talk about Columbus Day. We can talk about Drizzy and Drake. I mean, Drizzy and Drake, Drizzy and Joe Budden. Well, yeah, I mean, Umar Johnson from Philly. I think he was in Wilmington not too long ago, Wilmington, Delaware, not too long ago. He probably does have bars because Philly rappers just rap their asses off. They're not the best business minds, and they're not the best or inclined to make their own. They hop on other, labels and stuff like that. From Rockefeller had Beanie Siegel, Freeway, the Young Guns, all from Philly. Omarion and Sparks. Owen Sparks, I should say. I can't remember his name. It's not Omarion, but yeah, Beans is definitely in that running. He's definitely in that discussion. Yeah. So if it comes down to it, where they have to, duke it out on lyrically, that would be something that I think would definitely enhance the game. It would be like if they could do an actual battle, that would be monumental. That wouldn't be classic. That would be monumental. Drake versus Joe Budden. Somebody that took the style and understanding and transformed it into something that we definitely didn't see coming. A singing ass, rapping ass, getting the money kind of person, and Drake. And Joe Budden's calling him a billionaire in some posts. Well, the rumor's wrong, Greg S. The rumor's wrong. I haven't pulled a trigger in over 15 years, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, 15 years, almost 16 years. In over 50. That was fun. He said in over 15 hours. No, that was my Marine Corps days. I was a terrible marksman. Terrible. Then one day, I had my sights up. I got a possible. That means you get in the black every single time. No mistakes, nothing on the white. All a possible. That's what was on the range. That's the part of the thing where you have the even a trash can gets a steak. A clock is a broken clock is right at least 2 times a day. So many cliches like that. That's what it was. I was just fortunate to do that. Because then I ended up getting a marksmanship badge, which is the lowest you can possibly get. Then there's sharpshooter, then there's expert, and I was far away from that. And I'm just amazed, and I'm so glad I don't have to be in the Marine Corps anymore, because I would have been terrible. I would have to qualify every year, and I probably wouldn't have to show my marksmanship badges on my uniform. It's not a good look. You want to see those wreaths. You want to see those cross rifles. You want to see those cross pistols with the wreaths. That's what you want. Keith, it's not a question, so I'll address it. Asians own rap and hip hop now. That might be true. But I would say most likely people like reggaeton and Latina and Latinx and Latino and everything like that. They own hip hop and R&B. Well, they're leasing it right now. And they're leasing it. That's what I said. I entertain. That's his bingo free space. I thought it was interesting. That's something I can address at least. Greg S. That's something I can at least say, something on. But what do we have? We got about 14% left till I have to get out of here. No, just talking about my Marine Corps days. I remember my senior drill instructor. That's the person over you. That's like the head of the platoon of the entire squad. Like there's 80 recruits, and there's usually two sergeants or drill instructors. They're usually sergeants, sometimes staff sergeants. Very rarely gunnery sergeants, as you know, drill instructors. And then there's the senior drill instructor. My senior drill instructor was really like he said, and himself, that people have called him perfect, and it just seems like he couldn't miss. He knew everything. He had all. He was a black man. He looked like Tay Diggs. That's what he looked like. Like if there was a movie about him, I would say, yeah, you should play him. But he just seemed like he was like a god almost. Like he was really cool and just really together. Everything was sharp and on point, more so than the idea of what people would call a Marine. And so but as cool as he was, he could get very angry. He had a ferocity. He has a ferocious anger, ferocious bite. Like he could bark, and he didn't bite, but he could bark. He barked on he like I said, he was very black. He was very dark skinned. He barked on this white drill instructor, and he it was nasty. It was mean. It was he laid him out. Like we called them hooches, or these little huts, these little houses that you occupy. You rest in. You put your sleeping bag down and all your gear. And he was just cussing him out, like just laying him out. It was nasty. This is a war vet. This is the white guy, the white sergeant, the drill instructor. He was Semper Fi, do or die. But he was just wiping the floor with this guy. It was nasty. But that's the nature of the beast. I've seen gunnies. Gunnies are thank you, Keith. I appreciate it. I would appreciate a donation to go along with my my status as a Marine, but you do you. Okay, so I've seen, we call them gunners. They're chief warrant officers. They're like officers, like commissioned officers, but they're not quite there. But they're still respected as officers. They're weird. I never understood them. I've done research and I still don't understand it. But for all I know is they still hold a specific and proper position within the rank structure. All right, say all that. Say this: a gunny is like the daddy. They're like in recruits. They're like the senior drill instructor. They're like the lead. They're the daddy in a group usually, and they are E7. They're 3 stripes up, 2 stripes down. Cross rifles in the center, and they can lay you out too, but gunners have more position than them. And I saw this one gunner, holy moly, he got at this gunnery sergeant harsh. He yelled at him. I know this gunny, he had to have kids. He had to have a wife, something like that. And I just was like, damn, man, do I want to really? It's not like I chose to come out of the Marine Corps. I didn't really. My actions, my behavior, my mental health state wasn't in the right place. I was mentally unbalanced, but I didn't want to experience that, and I didn't want to see that again, because that's just disturbing. You got this one man going at it. He's two white guys. They're like, oh my. He's like, oh, I don't know what he said. He was just barking at him hardcore, like, don't you know that, Gunny? Like that. Like it was just it was, whew, it was fiery. It was spicy. It's mad spicy. You seem like you got a question there too, Greg S. No, that's not the facts. That didn't happen. I'm not even going to mention your question or your phrase, but I did not get busted for that, quote unquote. It was all because of the bipolar disorder, which I take heavy drugs every single day. I'll be taking drugs in 4 hours from now, 3 hours and 50 minutes from now. So live with that. I'm just having fun with it. You know, this is all good times. I'm talking to you, broke people. I'm waiting for Friday. That's when I get paid by Chelsea with the glasses. Excuse me. I can count on her every Friday. Make sure I'm here at the same time. Depends on what, the statuses of people like Tone J, whom I respect. Serious respect for him. He has, sometimes like he said one time his phone is dying, but I got to give you my donation. I seriously respect that. He did not have to do that. So I definitely respect it. Spirit McCroy, like I said, go see his channel. His channel is Spirit Smooth Tunes on YouTube. Get your dads, get your the Delphonics, the Whispers, Luther Vandross, Sade, all kinds of different bands and singers. Malik comes in with a punch. I got 8% left, sir. So we're going to make this real smooth and quick. I have $0 of. Salute to Malik. He's one of the realest people I've had on here. He has given me money. He has donated before. I appreciate that fact. Let me make sure I put this up here. My PayPal. And my Cash App. Just to let you know that I'm serious about that dollar. I appreciate everybody that's giving me that. I scroll through the Cash Apps. I'm just like, I earned it. I deserve this. I'm not shocked or surprised. I deserve it. I put in the time. I put in the effort. I do research. And it all works out for me. I win in the end. That's what's so special. So when I'm talking about Columbus or Drizzy or Joe Budden, it doesn't matter. It all has to come down to the fact that I studied and researched for it, and I'm part of something that is part of the global impact. I'm not yet relevant. I'm not yet a factor. I mean, I'm a factor in my own self, to my self-esteem. To me, I'm a factor. I'm relevant and I'm everything. But I have to look at reality. I have to look at the fact that I only have 290 subscribers. The fact that I haven't achieved over $80 in a single broadcast before. I've achieved over 60, but not, or over 40. I've had over 40, but not over 80. So I'm trying to get to that point. Trying to get there. And please, Keith, if you have the chance, correctly spell these people's names. Spell these names correctly. And we have Marvelous in Marvelous is in here somewhere. I got the money from him. Hold on. Now I gotta do math. Daggone it. This guy here. Marvelous is in the building. This guy's a funny guy. He's a real funny guy. He makes me do math. I can't do the math. What is this, like 6? I'm just doing the math because I don't want to get it wrong. 72, 23 to go. And that's just perfect timing. So I'm getting ready to get out of here. I only got 5% left to be done. So $770 raised, $72.23, $72.23 to go. Greg sucks. What up? Answer his question. I don't even know what bag fuel is. What is bag fuel? They sound pretty interesting. Bag fuel. Business podcast to emerging entrepreneurs, influencers, community leaders, and hip hop enthusiasts, offering insights and formulas for achieving financial freedom, exploring cultural phenomena, and driving innovation. Our content explores aspects of business and life that people often keep to themselves. That's interesting. That's on Heineken. Okay. They got the thing popping. 8 million views. How many subscribers? 44,000 plus subscribers. That's strong. Salute to them. Yeah. Thank you. Bag fuel. I appreciate that. Thank you. You're broke, Greg Ass. You don't have to be broke, but you just happen to be that way. But thank you for that bag fuel suggestion. I never heard. I heard of Heineken. I heard of him before, but I never knew he had a podcast. And that's what I think everybody should, because that's the thing that is so, people get cynical. Oh, another podcast, and they can say that, well, you want another homeless person? You want another person that's not doing work, that has to do a daily grind that they have is soul crushing, mind bending, and back crushing and back breaking. You want that? I mean, I understand the jokes, and it's like, ha ha, he. But the reality is that these podcasts are feeding people's families. These podcasts are feeding people's individuals selfishly, their own lives. That's a fact. That's what like I had with Joe Budden. He has that his own network that he set up himself. It's all autonomous. It's based on the self. It's selfishness times a trillion. Doing it all yourself. I'm doing all this myself. I'm making money. I just made money a few minutes ago. Thanks to Marvelous. I appreciate that. I'm looking for 10s and 20s, sir. But I will take yours because it's over $5. I'm really not looking for 1s and 5s. I'm looking for 10s and 20s. But if you do over $5, I can work with you. I can work with you. So just know that. And I appreciate the Bag Fuel as a podcast. I'm gonna check them out. I'm gonna see what's up with them. And just know that you can do it too. If you're worried about what I don't know what's gonna happen, just do it. Just Nike it. Just do it. Mr. Troy Star Terrain just said they want to see your face, they want to hear your voice. I'm a writer. I like the idea that I can go on a site, type in some stuff, put on some pictures, and get paid for it. I like that. But I can't get anywhere near as much money doing writing as I've been doing here. I mean, I have made money. I made over $2,000 cash, tax free. Surprise, surprise. Anytime you go over $600, you have to pay taxes, but I didn't have to because of the separate prize monies and the fact that I have different ones to say to it for my tips and my reads. Okay, Greg, I know you're being I knew you're being facetious there. I knew you were being facetious. That's why I'm not even going to repeat that. But it's been real. Thank you for rolling with me. I appreciate the time. I've got to get out of here. I've got some other business to attend to. So please look for me at 4 o'clock tomorrow on Tuesday. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Take care.